Hello, Lili here. Today we are starting with Class 3, Chapter 8 of your English textbook. The name of the chapter is The Cyclone, When Strange Things Happen in Kansas, and the author is Frank Lehman Baum. Let's start reading. Dorothy lived in the midst of the great Kansas prairies with Uncle Henry, who was a farmer, and Aunt Em, who was the farmer's wife. Their house was small, for the lumber to build it had to be carried by wagon many miles. There were 4 walls, a floor and a roof, which made one room, and this room contained a rusty-looking cook-stove, a cupboard for the dishes, a table, 3 or 4 chairs, and the beds. Uncle Henry and Aunt Em had a big bed in one corner, and Dorothy a little bed in another corner. There was no garret at all, and no cellar, except a small hole dug in the ground called a cyclone cellar, where the family could go in case one of those great whirlwinds arose, mighty enough to crush any building in its path. It was reached by a trapdoor in the middle of the floor, from which a ladder led down into the small dark hole. When Dorothy stood in the doorway and looked around, she could see nothing but the great gray prairie on every side. Not a tree nor a house broke the broad sweep of flat country that reached to the edge of the sky in all directions. The sun had baked the plowed land into a gray mass with little cracks running through it. The word meaning of prairies means large grasslands. Garret, a poorly done attic room. Cellar, a room in the basement of a house kept to store things. Cyclone, a storm with very powerful winds. Even the grass was not green, for the sun had burned the tops of the long blades until they were the same gray color to be seen everywhere. Once the house had been painted, but the sun blistered the paint and the rains washed it away, and now the house was as dull and gray as everything else. When Aunt Em came there to live, she was a young, pretty wife. The sun and wind had changed her too. They had taken the sparkle from her eyes and left them a sober gray. They had taken the red from her cheeks and lips, and they were gray also. She was thin and gaunt, and never smiled now. When Dorothy, who was an orphan, first came to her, Aunt Em had been so startled by the child's laughter that she would scream and press her hand upon her heart whenever Dorothy's merry voice reached her ears. And she still looked at the little girl with wonder that she could find anything to laugh. Sober means here serious. Orphan means a child whose parents are no more. Uncle Henry never laughed. He worked hard from morning till night and did not know what joy was. He was gray also, from his long beard to his rough boots, and he looked stern and solemn and rarely spoke. It was Toto that made Dorothy laugh and saved her from growing as gray as her other surroundings. Toto was not gray. He was a little black dog with long silky hair and small black eyes that twinkled merrily on either side of his funny V nose. Toto played all day long, and Dorothy played with him and loved him dearly. Today, however, they were not playing. Uncle Henry sat upon the doorstep and looked anxiously at the sky, which was even grayer than usual. Dorothy stood in the door with Toto in her arms and looked at the sky too. Aunt Em was washing the dishes. From the far north they heard a low wail of the wind, and Uncle Henry and Dorothy could see where the long grass bowed in waves before the coming storm. There now came a sharp whistling in the air from the south, and as they turned their eyes that way, they saw ripples in the grass coming from that direction also. Suddenly, Uncle Henry stood up. "There's a cyclone coming, Em," he called to his wife. "I'll go look after the stock." Then he ran toward the sheds where the cows and horses were kept. Aunt Em dropped her work and came to the door. One glance told her of the danger close at hand. "Quick, Dorothy!" she screamed. "Run for the cellar!" Toto jumped out of Dorothy's arms and hid under the bed, and the girl started to get him. Aunt Em, badly frightened, threw open the trapdoor in the floor and climbed down the ladder into the small dark hole. Dorothy caught Toto at last and started to follow her aunt. When she was halfway across the room, there came a great shriek from the wind, and the house shook so hard that she lost her footing and sat down suddenly upon the floor. Word meaning surroundings means the conditions around the person. Wail, to cry loudly. Frightened, to be scared. Shriek, to shout loudly, especially in fear. Then a strange thing happened. The house whirled around 2 or 3 times and rose slowly through the air. Dorothy felt as if she were going up in a balloon. The north and south winds met where the house stood and made in the exact center of the cyclone. In the middle of a cyclone, the air is generally still, but the great pressure of the wind on every side of the house raised it up higher and higher, until it was at the very top of the cyclone, and there it remained and was carried miles and miles away as easily as you could carry a feather. It was very dark, and the wind howled horribly around her, but Dorothy found she was riding quite easily. After the first few whirls around, and one other time when the house tipped badly, she felt as if she were being rocked gently like a baby in a cradle. Toto did not like it. He ran about the room, now here, now there, barking loudly, but Dorothy sat quiet, still on the floor, and waited to see what would happen. Whirled, to go fast in circles. Once Toto got too near the open trapdoor and fell in, and at first the little girl thought she had lost him. But soon she saw one of his ears sticking up through the hole, for the strong pressure of the air was keeping him up so that he could not fall. She crept to the hole, caught Toto by the ear, and dragged him into the room again, afterward closing the trap door so that no more accidents could happen. Hour after hour passed away, and slowly Dorothy got over her fright, but she felt quite lonely, and the wind shrieked so loudly all about her that she nearly became deaf. At first she had wondered if she would be dashed to pieces when the house fell again, but as the hours passed and nothing terrible happened, she stopped worrying and resolved to wait calmly and see what the future would bring. At last she crawled over the swaying floor to her bed and lay down upon it, and Toto followed and lay down beside her. In spite of the swaying of the house and the wailing of the wind, Dorothy soon closed her eyes and fell fast asleep. Dragged means to pull someone or something with force. Resolved means to come to a decision, and swaying means to swing in a rhythmic manner. Now, choose the correct answer. Put a tick. 1. When the cyclone arrived, Uncle Henry went to check the cows and horses. 2. Toto hid under the bed. 3. Toto got too near the trapdoor and fell in. 4. Dorothy soon closed her eyes and fell asleep. Let's come to the question and answers and think and answer. Question number 1. What does Uncle Henry do for a living? Answer. Uncle Henry worked as a farmer for a living. Number 2. Describe the place where Dorothy lives. Answer. There were 4 walls, a floor and a roof, which made one room, and this room contained a rusty-looking cook stove, a cupboard for the dishes, a table, 3 or 4 chairs, and the beds. Question number 3. Who does Dorothy live with? Answer. Dorothy lived with Uncle Henry, Aunt Em, and Toto. Number 4. Why doesn't Dorothy make it to the cellar in time? Answer. Dorothy couldn't make it to the cellar in time because she went to get Toto, who was hiding under the bed. Question number 5. What does Dorothy do when the house is being carried by the cyclone? Answer. Dorothy sat on the floor calmly, then she went to her bed and fell fast asleep. Think and answer. Number 1. Do you know what the after effects of a cyclone are? Answer. Some of the after effects are: Number 1. It reduces the fertility of the soil. Number 2. It causes severe loss of life and property. And number 3. It damages the communication systems such as telephones. The second think and answer question. What are the different things you need to do to be ready for if there was a warning of a cyclone in your neighborhood? Number 1. Provide strong suitable support for outside doors. Number 2. Get extra food which can be eaten without cooking. Number 3. Store extra drinking water. Number 4. Switch off the electrical mains in your house. And number 5. Remain calm. Now in this part, learn interesting things. In all the chapters you have read so far, you have met the characters of the stories and poems. However, there is one invisible character you are yet to meet, the narrator. A narrator is the storyteller, a person who tells all the events in the story. Apart from telling the story, the narrator thinks and feels for characters in the story. Now in the next page, match the words below in the correct alphabetical group. You have learned what a dictionary is in Chapter 3 and that the words in it are arranged in an alphabetical order. Let's revise. Match the words below to the correct alphabet groups. So as you can see, you can match like this. And here, a dictionary also gives us other useful information about words. One of these is that you will learn what part of speech a word is. That is, whether it is a noun, an adjective, a verb, an adverb, and so on. When you look a word up in a dictionary, this is what you will most likely see. So this is the part of speech, noun. For example, the word is slipper. This is how to say the word, and this is the meaning, word meaning of it. The word slipper is a noun. You have already learned about nouns, verbs, and adjectives. Now here, we know that pronouns are words that replace nouns. I, me, you, he, she, him, her, it, we, us, you, they, them are some of the pronouns. But did you know that pronouns consist of 3 kinds? The pronouns the speaker uses to speak about herself are said to be in the first person, such as I, me in singular and we, us in plural. The pronouns the speaker uses to speak about the person she is speaking to are said to be in the second person, such as you, your are used for both singular and plural. And the pronouns the speaker uses to speak about people who are not around are said to be in the third person, such as he, him, she, her, it, they, and them are plural. So as you can see in this table, first person, the speaker, it is male, female, and neutral, I and me, and for plural, you can use we and us. Second person, the person being spoken to, you, your, singular and plural both. Third person, the person being spoken about. For male, it is he, him. For female, she, her. Neutral, it, and plural, they and them. In this part, underline the pronouns and identify their persons. 1. He worked hard from morning till night. It is third person. Number 2. Quick Dorothy, she screamed. Third person. Number 3. She could see the great gray prairie on every side. This is also third person. 4. When Aunt Em came there to live, she was a young, pretty wife. This is also third person. And the last one, he was a little black dog. This is also third person. Now, fill in the blanks using suitable pronouns as instructed. Number 1, third person plural. They lived in Kansas. Number 2, third person singular male. He saw the cyclone coming. Number 3, third person singular neutral. It is Dorothy's dog Turtle. Number 4, third person singular female. She always looked sad. And the last one, first person singular. I liked reading the story. And now we will just complete the workbook of chapter 8, the cyclone. As you can see, it is write the words in the box in alphabetical order in the left-hand column of the table, and the first word has been written already. So these words, we should just do it in the alphabetical order. As you can see, it will be completed as this. and then add two words that come to your mind when you read the words on the left. One has been done for you. Airplane, planes, and runway. So alphabetical order would be computer, day, exams, forest, hospital, jar, rain, sunshine, and vase. And these are the words that are related to them. Pronouns are words that are used in place of nouns. Like nouns, pronouns may be singular or plural. When we talk of one person, we use singular pronouns like I, me, you, he, she, or it. When we talk of more than one person, we use plural pronouns like we, us, you, they, or them. Fill in the blanks with the correct pronouns given in the parentheses. Number 1. She gave the book to me. Number 2. My mother took us to the cinema. Number 3. Manoj's friends are here. He is talking to them. Number 4. My teacher was happy with me because I did my homework. And number 5. Lena invited them to a picnic. Use the following pronouns in sentences of your own. He is a tall boy. She is 5 years old. They are going to picnic. It is a beautiful dress. Her eyes are blue. She told him to smile. I invited them to my party. We are a happy family. Say these words aloud. Identify the O sound in them. Toot, hoot, boom, soon, hoof, noon, tooth, mood, roof. Give 2 more words. Choose and lose. So if you enjoyed my video, do like, share, and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching.